everyone, and welcome to Ful-on, your Fulham-centric football podcast. I'm your host, Ash Woolford. Joining me today for our Brighton review is almost a full team, but we'll just go around and see and say hello to everyone. Matt, how you doing, mate?
I'm actually all right after the weekend. It was. I'm not as disappointed as I thought it was going to be.
Truly pessimistic there, right? Carl, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you, Ash. Hope you're well.
Yeah.
I still think top 10. Good performance, top 10 for that.
Mozza, how you doing, buddy?
I always thought I was going to be the most positive one, but I know Carl's a new team member. I'm not trying to one-up you, mate, but I think we're going to win the league this year. I'm good.
And AJ, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Look, we're here to review the Brighton game from yesterday. You know, we all went into this not feeling the most positive. You know, the mood in the room from our previous show wasn't the greatest. There was a couple of shouts for being very, very happy with 1-1 draws in our match day predictions by Mozza and Drew. So I think they're both going to be quite happy with the result on Saturday. I'm ecstatic with the result on Saturday because I didn't see it coming at all. I really thought we were going to be in for a really, really bad start to the season. But as it stands, you know, I'm very happy with what I saw yesterday. The overall performance by the team was brilliant, and we'll get into that and we'll break it down now as we always do. AJ, I'm going to come to you, mate. Ask you the same question I always ask you on these ones because you're usually pretty good at it. The team sheet for Saturday. How do you feel about it? You know, was you happy with what we started with and what we had on the bench, and ultimately, you know, what got us through the game?
I think we pretty much called it man for man pre-game, which is probably a first for us. Normally there's some spanner thrown in by Marco just to completely throw us off. But I think we called it with Bassi left back, Cuenca centre back, Lukic, Berge in the middle, and then a positive and whole start for Josh King, which is great to see. Yeah, all in all, can't be disappointed with the lineup or necessarily some of that game's performance. But we'll get into that in a little bit more detail as we go.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have a conversation about Josh King at some point in this show because superb performance by him on Saturday. Was as the one of us that was actually at the game on Saturday, the overall sort of feeling amongst Fulham fans like during the game, you know, was it really positive? Was there actual a sense of excitement amongst the fan base considering the first game of the season?
Yeah, there was, surprisingly so. Yeah, as soon as you get off that Falmer, change from Brighton, even at Brighton Station, before you have to make that change, yeah, mix of obviously Brighton fans and Fulham fans, but yeah, Fulham fans were already singing along. And I don't want to be too leery before the start of a match, especially trying to give respect to, yeah, well, when you're at an away game. So it was very difficult for me to rein myself in. But the away end where we all were, it was jumping, it was lively. And I was surprised because, like you said, our last couple of podcasts, we've been like, what is there to get excited about? And I just thought everybody was going to be feeling like that, sort of almost entering the stadium with, yeah, expecting the worst. I was very surprised, and I got fully involved, and it got me going. My adrenaline was pumping. I got very leery, sensibly so, but I was astonished and inspired, and well done, all the Fulham away that went and gave it their all, because I think that made a difference.
Yeah, obviously, you know, you came across quite clearly. I think they were quite loud on the videos that I saw from amongst the during the game, so that's pretty good. Now, overall, pretty positive first half by Fulham. I know that, you know, we had a lot of possession in the first 10, 15 minutes, and then Brighton came into the game. And, for quite a lot of the time during that first half, we were sort of almost just at the whim of Brighton. I think there was a stat we were talking about during the game amongst us where I think we had 70% possession in the first 10 minutes of the game. And then by the end of the half, Brighton had completely taken that back to the point where I think it was almost 50-50 in percentage of possession during that half. Ultimately, who was in control of the game wasn't really that much of a talking point for the game, because I think that the first half's tale is that both teams were extremely wasteful in front of the goal. We didn't even really get into the box that much. Carl, last year when we were on this show, we would speak an awful lot about Fulham having a lot of great ball retention and a lot of great passing, but as soon as we get to the edge of the box, it all disappears. So we just don't have the ability to get the ball in the box. We don't have the final ball is always quite a killer. Saw a little bit of that on Saturday. Is it too soon to be getting too frustrated about it with the season, considering what it is? Or should we be concerned that, the squad hasn't really changed that much and we still seem to not have the ability to get the ball to a striker that's actually in the box?
It's a bit up on the fence with this because, like I said, it's the first game of the season, but pre-season, from the games that I've seen, we got the ball in the box as early as possible. We had Muniz, we've got Raul, who can win a ball in the air. Like, he's proven that. Do you know what I mean? Like, last season, he scored many goals with his head. But yeah, against Brighton, we got down to the final third, looked in the box, didn't want to cross it or anything, want to go back. I know they say recycle it, but that's a perfect position to put the ball in the box because you've got the following runners as well. So it is frustrating, but it is the first game of the season. So we'll see if we have this conversation in 3 or 4 games' time.
You're on mute, Ash.
Matt, looking at that first half, going in at half time, how happy were you with the game being 0-0 at half time? Away against Brighton, a team that we all know are very good on the ball. They counter attack extremely well. But I thought that we were dealing with it quite well during the game. I don't really feel there was any serious times during the first half where we were massively under pressure. But how did you feel at half time, sort of thinking that this is 0-0, but we're not out of it, we're really in this game still?
It was very touch and go, I think. There was some very, very silly mistakes that was made all the way through. The penalty, that was a silly mistake from Sanderberg. There's no need for him to be diving in like that. It was coming into the last 10 minutes, I very much thought it was going to be, that's it. First game of season, we've lost it. Until Raul was subbed off and Muniz came on. As soon as he came on, the impact and the intensity that he brought into the team, that was like a full new team had been fielded. It just completely changed everything up. His ability to pick everyone up, I think, shows that he needs to be retained. But honestly, I thought up until probably the 70th minute, I thought we could. Brought Josh King off, made a few more subs, and it just completely changed the aspect of the team.
Yeah, I think, AJ, I'm going to ask you this because we had this discussion amongst us on our WhatsApp group during the game, and we were talking about we were really concerned about what we had on the bench, whether or not it would actually come on and have the ability to change our approach. But I actually thought that most of the players that came on, most of the subs that were made, actually really did help us, going forward, because TC came on and he just seemed to calm everyone down a little bit around him. You know, Adama came on, and we all know that Adama's end product isn't great, but he puts fear in defences because they know what he can do, and they're very wary of the ball over the top and him getting onto it. But overall, you know, because we are often quite critical of Marco subs. How happy were you with them on Saturday?
It was less so the substitutions and more so the tactical changes after the substitutions. We saw Adama come on for Iwobi along that left-hand side, and he stayed out there for a little while until they realised that he was doing the same thing and constantly cutting back in, which was completely devoid of what he's very good at, which is racing people to the byline. So Marco very quickly adjusted it and made him swap with Wilson or pushed Wilson into the middle and had ESR take up that role on the left-hand side when he came on for Josh King. So it was actually the tactical changes, which is something that last season we were constantly discussing on whether or not Marco had a complete inability to do or not. So it was really nice to see him actively make the required changes in order to impact the game. I think it was an unfortunate game for Raul in terms of his performance. He did everything right apart from the things he needed to do right, which were his quick passing and his first touch, which are normally things that we attribute to him doing really well. Maybe it's just that he's played a few too many games in pre-season. We've been playing for Mexico as well. But Muniz coming on was a new spark of life, and it was brilliant to see him do as well as he did and obviously grab that last-minute goal. But all in all, in terms of the performance, it's not necessarily the substitutes I look at, it's the inconsistencies throughout the match. In what I mean by that is the first half an hour of the game, we had 75% possession. The next 15 minutes, once it got to the 45-minute mark, we were down to 51% possession, which means that we gave away 75% of the ball over that last 15-minute period of the first half. Whether or not that's through tiredness, whether or not that's through us stopping the calibre of press that we were doing, whether or not that's just tactically minded to try and invite some pressure so that we could break Brighton on the counter. I'm not entirely sure, but giving away that level of control worried me slightly because it then had Brighton start the second half with a positive mindset and with a lot more control into the game. And I think as much as we did well with our substitutes, and I'll credit Marco with that, especially the way that he managed them after they were on the pitch, which ultimately resulted in the goal, it was close to being too little too late. And that's a concern when we've only managed 2 shots on target with periods of the game over 70% of the ball. So there is definitely that to be concerned about, but from a positive perspective, it's a point away from home against a good side that can dominate the ball.
Yeah, I think ultimately you're very correct in the sense of, you know, there were moments in the game where we were really rich in the sense of how much possession we have and how much, then we had periods of the game where we were really low. I don't think that's too surprising when you're playing against a team like Brighton, because we all know how good they are on the ball and how comfortably they'll have the ball. There were 3 or 4 moments during the game where we really looked like we were struggling to get a foot on the ball. And Brighton were playing through us really, really easily, which is obviously a concern and something that, you know, Sander Berg and Lukic in particular are probably going to have to work on a bit this season, because they are going to be relied on an awful lot to be the people that are stopping those balls going straight through the middle, which is a little bit concerning. But again, you know, we didn't get punished too heavily from Brighton, so we can't really moan too much. There are a couple of things I want to talk about in the game. Obviously, you know, we gave away a soft penalty, which is annoying. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. There's the penalty incident. We could have potentially have had a penalty. I've seen it 3 or 4 times on replay. Well, 2 penalties, yeah, the one in the first half and the one in the second. The one in the first half, I'm not so convinced about. The one in the second, I said it in our WhatsApp group at the time, I'm sure that's a penalty. And then immediately on the first replay went, oh, maybe not. But then every replay I've seen of it since, are more and more positive it should have been a penalty, because the player kicks through Josh King's legs to get to the ball, which as far as I'm concerned, Josh King's foot's planted, it's a penalty. Like it's really frustrating. It's one of those ones that if we were wearing a Man City shirt or a Liverpool shirt, we know it's 100% given, and it's the frustrations of the game that is. Let's talk about Rodrigo Muniz quickly. It takes an awful lot for a player to have a couple of weeks that he's had. You know, he's heavily linked away. There's rumours flying all over the place about him refusing to play last Saturday, although we we tend to believe that he actually played in the preseason friendly that was played behind closed doors earlier on in the day. There's no proof to say that he refused to play. He comes on, he looks lively. He looked like he was really excited to play. But even before he came on, he was warming up. There was real intent to his warm up, the real intent when he came on. He looked really positive when he came on. And then obviously gets his goal, which fully deserves, celebrates it in the most dramatical way he can do. Obviously, gets yellow carded for jumping on top of an advertising hoarding. And there's no way a man can sit there holding up a Fulham scarf and then leave a week later, is there? Like, he can't break my heart like that. It's not going to be allowed. There is exactly. There is one player though that I know that we all are going to want to praise, and I'm going to go to Mozza on this one because obviously he was at the game. He was on the game on Saturday. But Mozza, how good was Josh King?
Shit hot. He is a player, someone for his age, that was fast. Obviously, yeah, because he's so young. It wasn't about so much technical skill, but I will go into a bit of his first touch was great. He was always there, playmaker, pushing forwards. Him with Harry Wilson, and this is what I was screaming for all of last season, as opposed to us trying to give the ball out too much on the wings. These players, because they've got the legs, yeah, sure, they're shorter blokes in stature. Don't know if that makes them more streamlined, makes them a bit faster, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, they are running inside. They are doing runs inside the box. That is what we need more of. But not only that, it looks like they actually give a shit. Like they want to fucking score. Sorry for my swearing. I know we spoke about this before, but I'm just passionate because I saw the passion from these boys. Yeah. I won't, again, I always do this. I won't reveal my man of the match just yet, but I was speaking to various fans outside. A lot of them were saying it's going to be 3-0. Josh King's going to get all three, or at least he's going to score. That lad deserved to, and he looked like he wanted to, and he looked like he was fighting for his place in the squad, despite already signing a new contract with us. I mean, good lord! I hope this isn't it. Do you know what it reminds me of? It's another sort of Carvalho, Fabio Carvalho, if I've got his first name right. Sorry, I can't remember. It's a repressed memory, PTSD. Where he was a youngster, and was like that quick, that good, that up for it. Now I've said it, I've tempted fate. I hope this isn't a similar situation with Josh King where he gets snapped up by somewhere else and then just has a poor career elsewhere. That guy is something else, absolutely something else, and not just him. Right? While I'm at it, there were other players that seemed up for it. Raul was up for it. Bassi, even in that left back position. Leno, as you might have seen in the short that I did, your famous term that you've coined, Ash, Poppadom wrists. And I noticed this in the last preseason friendly. Don't know if I've mentioned that I was at that last Saturday because I keep going on about it. But he was making the similar saves that he otherwise would have let in last season. You know, long range shots from the opposition. He did great. I don't have too much to say about the penalty that we conceded. I've seen the match of the day highlights. I mean, yeah, guess it is a penalty. But as you were saying about the one that brought down Josh King, I think there was another one on Bassi as well. I don't know how they weren't given. The ref was absolutely atrocious, I must say. Didn't seem like he was in favour of the Brighton squad But moments where we all complain about VAR, moments where he should have been relying on VAR, everyone's going like that. He didn't use it. I don't know what that's all about. Silver's right. The refs are shite. That was sang many times. And I know I've digressed here. I do apologise. But Josh King, yeah, he needs to be starting. He is one to watch. What a prospect. And that's why I feel so positive and so excited. Maybe I wouldn't feel the same way that I do about all my emotions given the result of the game. I did predict 1-0. Yeah, I'm happy to come away with a point. I do feel like it's a game we should have deserved to win. But second half we did fall asleep a little bit. And look, I know I've rambled. If there were two players I wanted to score, it was either Muniz or Emil Smith-Rowe. Emil Smith-Rowe made a couple of mistakes, schoolboy errors, even put his head in his hands like that. But I think we still got to get behind him. Boost his ego, boost his confidence as fans. Until we can't, it's turned out that he's absolutely just not good enough. But
I think it's a fair point. I think it's an absolute fair point, especially about ESR and the way that he came on. He looked a little bit incoherent, shall we say, but ultimately the one time we pushed forward and had a shot, it led to the corner that we scored from. So, it is what it is. We do, as you say, we need to get behind him. I know last year he was voted as like dud of the season and we spoke about it, but we all said the exact same thing. We all want him to come back this year and prove us wrong and do something and just be part of the squad. So, ultimately it is what it is. Let's we're going to end this review. We're going to go around and get everyone's man of the match and a couple of honourable mentions. Matt and Carl, you haven't done one of these shows before, so we'll go through it. Basically, just other than giving us your man of the match, there's a couple of other players that deserve a good shout out, and then we'll get a consensus and give our man of the match. Matt, we'll start with you, mate. Give us a couple of players that you thought played really, really well and your man of the match, please.
Honourable mentions have to be Harry Wilson and Leno. And Harry Wilson's for the amount of tackles that he got down the back of his Achilles. There must have been about 3 or 4. And he just kept fighting and fighting. Leno, just class, as always. And man of the match, Josh King, put his heart and soul into it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. Carl, and yourself, made a couple of honourable mentions and the man of the match, please.
Yeah, so my first honourable mention is going to be Sasha Lukic. I thought he split up the play. He got the ball when he had to drive forward to try and start an attack. He did put in some crunching tackles that obviously got the away fans up and raw and like in the mood. My other one is going to be Josh King. Obviously, he's a young lad. Reminds me of Moussa Dembele when he glides forward with the ball, beats players, even like he's putting in tackles like he does as well. So he is a good prospect for us. And my man of the match is CB, Calvin Bassey. Unreal performance. Amazing at left back. And should have had a penalty, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? But that's my man of the match, Calvin Bassey. Unreal.
Yeah, great shout, I think. Great shout. Mozza, how about yourself, mate? A couple of honourable mentions and your man of the match, please.
I've probably already said them earlier. Honourable mentions, Leno made some great saves. Bassey, awesome, as per usual. Wilson, yeah, as well, who I've already mentioned. I'm going to give an honourable mention to Rodrigo Muniz. We've all seen it. We've spoken about it. I didn't even know you could get a yellow card for just holding up a scarf that a fan might have thrown on the pitch saying, "Come on, Fulham." I don't know if that goal is the difference between him leaving us as of, is it meant to be Monday? Allegedly. We've seen him cry before. We've seen him in tears before when he's been injured, because he knows that it means he's going to be out for a couple of weeks or months or however long it was, not because he's in pain. That man doing that, it's like Polina, running up to the stand going, the passion. I'll be amazed if he wants to leave or if that's all just, dramatics. We need that man to stay. Yeah, thank the Lord above, which I have no belief in anyway, that he got that goal. But my man of the match, just because of the minutes that he had, was Josh King.
Yeah, trying to shout. And how about you, AJ, mate? Honourable mentions and man of the match, please.
I'm surprised no one's given an honourable mention to him yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Kenny Tete was absolutely tremendous, was elite as per usual, and played as if he hasn't just come back from an injury. So I have to fully commend him for his performance. Additionally, his right-hand defensive partner, Anderson, had a very, very solid game for what was coming again off of a period of probably his not his best performances for us. So I think all in all he was very solid there. Again, my other honourable mention is going into the back line again. Cuenca, very few minutes for us, played 80 odd minutes, looked completely in his element, didn't look out of place at all in that back line, and ultimately didn't put a foot wrong as far as I'm concerned. But ultimately, my man of the match, big old Josh King, has to be. He was truly tremendous for what is an 18-year-old, run that midfield. I remember seeing him at one period during the second half, turn somebody just outside of his own box and then take it about 45, 50 yards forward on the counter-attack, basically creating an opportunity on his own. And I think his performance and his performances of late have clearly been enough to convince Marco Silva, because Marco Silva said in his interview afterwards he wants to try and find the way to get Josh King and Emil Smith-Rowe in the team together, because they've both had really good pre-seasons and he can see the talent that they've got. As for Andreas, he was dropped purely for tactical reasons. So for Marco Silva to say that, damn, Josh King must be good.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We all know his preferences for AP. So I think for me, you've all given shouts out to players that I was expecting. Kenny Tete is on my list for players that was an honourable mention. I thought he was absolutely superb, especially considering, he's coming back from quite a serious injury. I know we've had a pre-season, he's had time off, but still relatively serious injury. Cuenca on my list too. I thought he was superb because he's playing in a position where he hasn't played that much. We know he's good on the ball. We've always rated how good he is on the ball. But 100%, he makes me a lot calmer about what's coming our way, especially in December when we know we're going to lose Calvin Bassey for the African Cup of Nations. I've got no problems with Cuenca being that player, playing alongside Anderson. I thought they played very well with each other. I love Calvin Bassey. Everyone knows how much I love Calvin Bassey, and I'd love to give him man of the match because I thought he was superb at left back. If he could learn how to do his shorts up so we don't see his backside so much, that'd be even better. But I love him, so we'll give him the shoes there. But yeah, it's only Josh King is the only one who can be man of the match in that game for me. He looked so good. He looked so composed, well beyond the years and the match minutes we've seen him play for Fulham. He made a midfielder who is being rated to leave Brighton for £100 million plus look absolutely average in that first half. And we know he's got some great heads around him, and Tom Kenny's got arms around him, and he is trying to learn off the players around. You can see that for such a young player, there is a level of composure there that we haven't seen in a long time. And Mozza sort of compared him to Fabio Carvalho. I compare him almost like to Ryan Sessegnon when he came through, because there's no pomp and circumstance about the way he's played. He doesn't want the attention. He's not asking for it. He's just coming. He's just doing a great job on the pitch. He's just being himself and being, He knows how much he's being wanted, how much the fans are behind him, and he's using that as a way of using it as belief to just play his game and do what he does. And it's exceptionally hard to come up from under 21s football to and under 18s football to Premier League football and still have that composure and not be completely blown away by what's going on around you. He did not look out of place on Saturday. He was absolutely superb. So he is our man of the match easily. But they were all great on Saturday, and none of us went into this game with any real expectations. I said on Friday when we were looking at this game, I was really struggling to get up for this season. After the result on Saturday, I'm 100% up for this season now. We all know we all how much we rate our starting 11, and we know that we need signings. We know all that stuff, and we'll discuss that coming up in the next couple of weeks. But I thought it was superb, lads. Thank you very much for joining me for this match review. It was great to get it in. Great one coming up this week. Just as a heads up, everyone who's watching, on Wednesday morning, our FFC and Me first episode of the series is coming out with Kit Simons, and we'll be back on Friday with our match preview for the Man United game on Sunday. So have a good week, lads. Hopefully Fulham will put a pep in your step, and nothing really more to say other than come on, you Whites.